You see it almost every day. Your dog freezes, stares at the wall, follows you from room to room, suddenly starts licking their paws over and over again. You smile, laugh, or tell yourself that's just what dogs do. But what if one of these behaviors isn't as harmless as it looks? What if the scariest thing about it is that millions of loving owners mistake it for something completely normal? By the end of this video, you'll never look at your dog's behavior the same way again, because your dog may have been trying to communicate with you all along. Dogs don't speak with words. Every emotion they feel, every fear, every moment of joy, confusion, or stress is expressed through their body. The problem is that humans often translate dog behavior through human emotions instead of canine instincts. That's where misunderstandings begin. And one behavior in particular is so common that most owners ignore it completely, even though it can reveal far more than they realize. But before we get to that, there's another warning sign that often appears first. Have you ever noticed your dog constantly following you? Most people immediately assume it's because their dog is obsessed with them or simply wants attention. Sometimes that's true. Dogs are social animals, and they naturally enjoy being close to the people they trust. But when following becomes constant, every room, every step, every moment, it may not be affection alone. It can also be anxiety. Dogs thrive on routine and security. If they fear being separated from you, even for a short time, they may shadow your every movement because your presence has become their only source of comfort. That isn't love becoming stronger. It's fear becoming quieter. And that's exactly why so many owners miss it. But here's something even more surprising. Some dogs don't show anxiety by following you. They do the opposite. They suddenly become quiet. They sleep more. They stop asking to play. They sit alone in another room. Many owners think, maybe my dog is finally calming down with age. Sometimes that's true, but sudden personality changes should never be dismissed without paying attention. Dogs often hide discomfort because, deep down, their instincts tell them that appearing weak can make them vulnerable. Their silence may actually be one of the loudest messages they can send. And then there's a behavior almost everyone laughs at: excessive paw licking. A dog cleaning their paws once in a while is perfectly normal. But repetitive licking, especially at the same spot every day, can become a sign of something much deeper. It might begin with allergies or irritation, but behavioral experts have also found that repetitive licking can become a coping mechanism for stress. Just like some people bite their nails or pace when they're anxious, dogs may lick because it temporarily calms their nervous system. The scary part isn't the licking itself. It's how easily it becomes invisible because owners get used to seeing it. If this video is already changing the way you understand your dog, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Every week, we uncover hidden truths about dog behavior that help owners build stronger, happier relationships with their best friends. Now let's talk about one of the strangest behaviors you'll ever see. Have you ever caught your dog staring at absolutely nothing? Maybe it's a corner of the room, an empty hallway, or a wall that seems completely ordinary. Stories online often jump straight to ghosts or supernatural explanations, but reality is usually more fascinating. Dogs have far more sensitive hearing and smell than humans. They may detect tiny sounds inside walls, distant footsteps outside, or scents carried through the air that your senses simply can't perceive. However, if the staring becomes repetitive, prolonged, or is accompanied by confusion or unusual movements, it may also signal changes that deserve a conversation with your veterinarian. The important lesson isn't to panic. It's to observe patterns instead of isolated moments. But none of those behaviors are the one that worries experts the most. The scariest behavior most owners think is normal is when a dog repeatedly avoids communication. Imagine calling your dog's name. They hear you but don't respond. You approach them, and instead of making eye contact, they turn their head away. You assume they're being stubborn. Maybe they're ignoring you on purpose. But dogs rarely think that way. Avoiding eye contact, walking away, or refusing interaction over time can be a quiet signal that something isn't right. They may feel pain when moving. They may be overwhelmed by stress. They may no longer feel emotionally secure in their environment. Or they may simply have learned that interacting with humans often leads to something unpleasant. The behavior itself isn't always dangerous. The danger comes from assuming it's just attitude and never asking why it started. Here's something fascinating that many people never realize. Dogs are incredible observers of human emotions. Studies suggest they can recognize changes in facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and even certain scent changes linked to stress. That means when you're anxious, frustrated, or constantly tense, your dog often notices long before another person does. They may respond by becoming clingy, restless, withdrawn, or unusually alert. From their perspective, the leader of their family suddenly feels unpredictable. They don't know why. They only know something feels different. And this leads to one of the biggest mistakes loving owners make. We often react to behavior instead of understanding the emotion causing it. We scold the barking instead of asking what frightened the dog. We punish chewing instead of asking whether they're bored, anxious, or lacking stimulation. We label them stubborn instead of confused. Every behavior has a reason. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's both. The moment you start looking for the reason instead of the inconvenience, your relationship with your dog changes forever. Think about the last time your dog looked at you without making a sound. No barking, no jumping, just quiet eye contact. That wasn't an accident. Dogs constantly check in with the people they trust. They're reading your face, your posture, your mood. In many ways, communication between humans and dogs is happening every second, even when nobody says a word. So the next time your dog suddenly changes a habit, don't brush it off. Watch carefully. Notice when it happens. Ask yourself what changed in their environment, routine, or health. Most of the time, the answer isn't dramatic, but occasionally, paying attention early can make an enormous difference. Your dog doesn't expect you to understand every signal perfectly. They don't need perfection. They need someone willing to notice, someone willing to pause before saying, "That's just normal," because what feels normal today may actually be the first whisper of a problem tomorrow. The strongest bond between a dog and its owner isn't built through expensive toys, perfect training, or endless treats. It's built through understanding. Every wag, every glance, every step behind you, every quiet moment carries meaning. Some messages are joyful, some are protective, some are cries for help that are almost impossible to hear unless you truly pay attention. So tonight, spend a few extra moments simply watching your dog. Not to judge them, not to correct them, just to understand them. You may discover they've been speaking to you every single day in a language that never needed words. Because your dog isn't just behaving, they're communicating. And sometimes, listening can change their life just as much as it changes yours.